and like doing, I had forgotten how important it was to do with people. Because I got in the habit of, like, for 3 years I did it at home.
Sure.
By myself.
Out of necessity, though.
No. During the plague,
Yeah.
yes. But then when everything opened back up, I got so used to it that I just did it at home on my deck, outside.
Right.
And then I started going back to a studio, I guess like 4 months ago. Totally forgot, like, you just, there's energy around you, and you just,
right.
It's easy to stop midway through at home too and go, that's enough, that's good.
Yeah. Well, that's like, I've always, I like going to classes, workout class, whatever it is, because I am somebody who will stop doing something unless I've paid for it.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
unless I'm with people and there's sort of peer pressure, like, it's a little bit of the team mentality or group mentality of like push each other in a positive way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is there one studio you go to consistently?
I do.
So you have a home base that you like?
No, I do, yeah. It's hot yoga. Anybody ever do hot yoga?
Man,
yeah.
I did it, but it's really hot.
It's crazy. No, it's nuts.
If only it were in the name.
No, man, I did it one time. Like, you're a fit yoga guy. I did hot yoga one time, and it was a bunch of dudes. And none of us were fit yoga people. And I'm like, I'm not sure I want to pay to be around a bunch of sweaty fat dudes. I feel like I want to pay to leave.
Yeah.
So I decided that wasn't my jam. I do yoga, but I go to like a place where it's not hot. Not the hot yoga. Yeah, it's a little.
Once you get used to it, though, there's something. It's like, because I had gotten to the point where without hot yoga, I wasn't sweating at all. Like when I first started yoga, I was.
Yeah, because it's really. Does anybody here do yoga? Yeah, yoga's remarkably difficult. You don't even you don't. It's deceiving because you see somebody who's good at yoga and you're like, and then you try yoga and you realize that you're using every muscle in your body to stand perfectly still.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To do when you do it right, and then of course you're doing it wrong at first. You're like, isn't that hard? And they're like, move your hip back. Like, oh Christ! Like
so
everything engaged.
You're sweating just by going like this.
Yeah.
Why am I sweating?
No, I know, dude, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you end up being, like, you're skilled. You know where to turn it on and turn it off in your core now. But when you don't know that, which is most people for most of their journey, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Because you're turning everything on just trying to find the one thing that's supposed to help you balance or help you zen out. You know
That's
what I mean?
why I ended up. Yeah, I had to go to hot yoga in order to break a sweat.
How long did it take you? How long were you practicing yoga before you got comfortable? Like that comfortable?
Over 10 years, easy. I've been doing it for 20. I just started 27 years ago.
Yeah.
So
That's impressive. That's
thanks.
awesome.
Are we doing questions?
If people have them, but
Are there any questions?
right now we have the ghost people. Oh, hey, they're there. What's up?
Hi. I'm sorry, in French I have a bad accent.
Already you speak better than most American high school students, so you're doing great.
So it's for you, Richard. You are so good actor, it's amazing. But as a director, you're just exceptional. I love your job. Every episode you're doing, masterpiece, really.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask you for the episode 12 in season 12.
Okay.
It's your idea to do the episode like Tarantino?
Okay, so this is Stuck in the Middle with You, that episode. No, so the question was the Tarantino theme running through that my idea? No, Davey Perez wrote that script, and he wrote it very much in the style of Pulp Fiction. He wrote it with that idea. Now, I'm a massive Tarantino fan, especially the early Tarantino, like the Reservoir Dogs, the Pulp Fiction, the early stuff. I was a massive fan of Tarantino's early stuff. So I leaned in immediately and tried to do everything. Like, I tried to be as specific as I could be about everything that was even potentially a Tarantino thing. So I was able to find, we worked with the team to use the same mugs in the diner that they used in Reservoir Dogs. Like we did a deep dive on everything to lend ourselves to give ourselves the best shot at creating the most Tarantino-looking episode of all time, including, you know, framing, like when you watch the slow motion walk, there's like a truck in the background, so we put the Impala there. Like we tried to find the same length, focal length. This is, you know, we're guessing because we're just looking at the images, but we really worked hard to try to create a similar vibe.
That was just exceptional. Really, I would like to just...
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I gotta say,
I'm sorry, I have the chance to go to Vancouver in 2019, and I go to Everett Park, Crowley Park.
Okay.
And you are here, and I saw you.
Oh, okay.
That was so... Oh.
What, was I location scouting? You were on a tour, and I was...
I was just outside, you know, not in
okay,
the set.
gotcha.
So I saw you, and you just like, swimming, and I recognize your voice, you know. Oh, it's Richard! Oh my God! I was so happy. So
Was I being mugged? Like, why was I screaming? Was I working?
no,
just
you're
talking.
screaming for the girl. You know, the girl is screaming because she had
Where's this going?
You know? A werewolf. It's a werewolf.
Yeah, it was the gotcha. You heard me giving her direction, like yelling.
Yeah. You're giving the direction to the girl, and I oh, it's Richard! Oh my God! I'm so happy.
That's hilarious.
And I saw you for a while. You had a hat.
Yeah.
But you don't see me.
I'm so sorry. Well, I'll wave back now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
well, Richard directed me in the second episode of Supernatural that I was in.
Yeah, it is.
I gotta say, like, as an actor, to have another actor that is good as Richard and also such a good director, it was such a treat. Like, immediately I felt comfortable with suggestions for the character that maybe, you know, were quirks that were a little on this side of what was written, and you were so very welcoming and open to suggestion, and it made me feel incredibly comfortable, and
Awesome,
yeah,
man.
it was great.
Well, thank you. And we'd already worked together because you know, acting together.
Yeah, we
which
did.
is great because then I'm like, oh, I know you. Well, we had done Jericho, but I'm not even counting that. I'm thinking back to, so Jeff and I worked together on a different show where we didn't really realize we were working together until years later, where he had to punch me in the face. And a show called Jericho.
And he waited 15 years to get your revenge?
Yeah, exactly. But it was great, like working with actors like yourself who get it, are cocked in, and come in with ideas. It's like the director's dream, because then you're just doing finished carpentry. You know, they're going like, yes, no, yes, no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, cool, we're building a house. It's
It was
awesome.
great, and it's fun because like when you have a director that works so well with actors, you forget I forgot you're also directing, doing so much with that whole episode that turned out just great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. And thank you for the question. I will say something funny about her saying that I've screamed. I have editors say, because I'll scream direction when people are trying to be scared. I'm like, look out, he's right behind you. Like, I do things to try to help get them a reaction. And
Editors hate you.
no, they love it. They think it's hilarious because it's funny.
Or
They don't hear.
but see, they gotta cut it out then. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They're just going to remove it anyway. You know, it's like if people scream, you always replace it. It's usually all burned out anyway. But it's like, man, the last show I directed was Dead Boy Detectives. It's not out yet, but it stars two young British guys, and they were the editor's like, I just hear you all screaming, going, "You're being chased by a goddamn spider, George! Run, you motherfucker!" And he's like, I said, like, it sounds like you're a redneck about to kill this British kid. Like, yeah, that's all part of the process. You.
Hello.
Hey.
So I am a big fan of Lucifer. I even have a podcast that covers the entire show. And I love that every time I was watching for the podcast, preparing for the recording, I would be like, this episode is beautiful and cinematographic. Like, it's just like so nice. I wonder who directed it, and it's usually you. So I was wondering which is your favorite episode that you directed on Lucifer, and why?
Man, that's a tough one. Lucifer was really a fun show to be involved in, which I say about everything I directed, because I've been lucky to direct really cool stuff. But Tom Ellis is a great individual. Lauren German is awesome. The whole cast. So they were all special. I had a real fondness for, I'm going to forget the episode title, but you might know since you do a podcast about it, but where Lucifer's wings turn, when he reveals that he has black wings.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I loved that episode because the humor is great, but there's also because of that scene where Rachel Harris comes in and Tom is sitting down and he has to then reveal his wings. It was such this cool sort of cinematic, dark, using the elevator as a light reveal, shadow play thing that we were able to accomplish through that. It was just so cool. DP was a guy named Tom Camarda, and that was the first time I'd worked with him, and it was just, I remember, I think that was the first Lucifer I directed too. And it was just, I was realizing how good he was, when I'm like, these are my ideas, and he just took those ideas and he elevated them, and we just created this. And then Tom, I had this idea on how Tom was going to play the scene, and Tom just exceeded expectations, and it was very dramatic. So then we all leaned into it and did this, I thought this very sort of intense, you know. When that show was funny, but it could get really intense. And being able to vacillate between the humor and the dark was really fun and challenging as a director, tonally and stylistically and everything else. And I just thought that was one of those where I thought it was just really meaningful and cool and touching, and framing wise was neat. And I was just really happy with how that episode turned out.
Thank you.
Do you have a favorite out of the series in general, of Lucifer?
In general, which episode?
Yeah.
I really love Daniel Espinosa making it afraid. And I think that's directed and written really, really well, and it's just the way it is kind of embedded inside the show as you go on. If you go back, you get to see the little hints
Right.
of everything. What's the name of the one with the stolen painting and the gallery?
Oh,
That's
me.
yours,
Yeah, I did that one.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was so pretty. Like when they stopped in front of the car with the painting, and I was
Yeah.
like, that looks like a specific scene in a movie, and I can't fucking place it. I still can't. But it's like so familiar, but it's so beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much, by the way. And
Thank you.
then what's your podcast called?
It's called The Apple of Truth.
The Apple of Truth. Okay, great. So if you're a Lucifer fan, listen to our podcast.
We actually interviewed Ildi, Joe, and Mike Costa a couple months ago.
Oh, that's awesome. The
It
showrunners
was-
and
It was very fun. It's a very fun.
Well, congratulations, and that's awesome.
And also Jeffrey, have you been to Český Krumlov yet?
To what?
The place where Egon Schiele used to live?
Not yet. Not yet.
Honest, you're a disappointment to me.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah. Nice to have your mother stop by. I didn't quite get the question. What was the question she was asking?
She's asking, because Egon Schiele is my favorite painter. She's always busting balls about that I visited his hometown yet.
Yeah. Which is where?
He's dead.
Is it Italian?
Oh, Vienna.
Oh, Vienna. Gotcha. Well,
There's
at
still
least he
time.
doesn't know you've blown him
Yeah.
off. You know. Thank you. You.
Hi.
Hi.
So my question is, if you were a chair, what celebrity would you let to sit on you?
These are those questions I love because they make perfect sense. So what chair? What? Oh boy, is he?
Yeah. I think at this right now, I would let Lily Rose Depp sit on me.
I'm seeing. I'm trying to think of what celebrity I'd let sit on me. Do they
You guys see me on
have to be alive?
No.
Jimi Hendrix. I just think it'd be cool if Jimi Hendrix sit down and play guitar while I'm just like, I'd have the best seat in the house, no pun intended. Jimi Hendrix in.
Fun, absolutely.
So, thank you for the question. And by the way,
Thank you.
do fewer mushrooms. You.
Hi. So what are some characteristics or character traits that you recognize in your character in Supernatural from yourself?
What characteristics do you recognize? Or do
I look a lot like him.
Yeah, that's true. We both eat food. I'm trying to think. There's not a whole hell of a lot to say.
Yeah, I mean, the demon, Prince of Hell. We have some similarities, but I mean,
Not a lot. Yeah. Not many. I would say very little. I don't even like candy. Like there's not a lot that is similar. Maybe sense of humor, but Gabriel's sense of humor is dark and can go dark and mean, and can be jealous and petty, and so even his sense of humor is occasionally similar, but not often. Yeah, no, not much. You? Is there anything?
I mean, we look alike, we kind of sound alike a little bit, but other than that,
No.
not a ton. I hope not.
No, yeah, gee, I would say seriously. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
How are you in keeping secrets because of your project?
How are we with keeping secrets?
Yes.
I feel like I'm pretty good at keeping secrets. Why, are you about to tell me that I'm not? No, you mean like when we've worked on something and we are sworn to secrecy?
Yes.
I have a good
I'm
story.
phenomenal about keeping secrets.
Well, I have a story about that one. Because I used to, as an actor, yell it from the mountains whenever I booked something or had done something so people would watch and stuff.
Right.
And I did the series finale of Mad Men. I said the last spoken words, and Matthew Weiner, the show's creator, at the table read said, "We are very serious about if you tell your mother, we will find out and we will sue you." And I had to sit on the best job I had ever done for a year. But then something happened. It was like when it finally came out, the satisfaction of having people see it and not knowing changed my perspective about how I talk about projects I've done.
I had an interesting story. This is not me, it's a secondhand story, but my buddy Michael Cudlitz was on The Walking Dead. He played Abraham. And at one point, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, as a season finale, kills one of the people. Right? But it's not revealed for a long time. And the actors were under strict orders to not talk about it. And one of the things Michael had to do was continually fly to Georgia and pretend like he was still shooting. And they paid him to come to Georgia. It mattered that much to them that the reveal be so surprised that he'd be seen in Georgia, so that they would so people who were trying to track this kind of stuff, they could fool him. And I'm like, dude, that's he didn't tell anybody. I think he told his wife, obviously, but so we're good friends. He knows I'm a steel trap. We're in the same business. Didn't tell me. Didn't tell anybody. And it came out. I'm like, holy smokes, dude. Yeah. We need you in government. It was remarkable. So, but I feel like I'm very good at that too, because it's not fun. Ruining things isn't fun. Ruining things for other people and having things ruined, because there's nothing worse than talking to a friend of yours or having somebody in a room saying, "Dude, did you see that movie?" "No, I didn't. Please don't talk about it." "I'm not going to say a word." "Well, watch out for the cat." "Don't say anything. Just say nothing." I didn't give away anything. I did not give away a thing. I'm just telling you, the cat. I'm like, I don't want to know the cat. Don't point out the cat. I haven't seen the movie. Okay, just
I'll never forget. I was
meow.
I was standing in line to see The Sixth Sense when it first came out.
No.
Somebody
Give it away.
Somebody drove by and goes, "He's dead." In retrospect, I think it's kind of hilarious.
I gotta tell you, one of the only fights I got in with my middle sister. We were at Sunday lunch going back 25 years, and at some point, somebody started talking about, the movies came up, and somebody brought up Citizen Kane. And I said, Citizen Kane is one of the best American movies of all time. It's Orson Welles. It was groundbreaking in how he told the story visually. He was a 25-year-old actor doing stuff that no one had seen as a filmmaker. It was unbelievable. And there's a big twist to that movie. And I won't give it away but the point is, I gave it away in the course of this conversation, and she flipped. She's like, "I can't believe you ruined this movie for me." And I said, "Okay, Two things, Lindy. I love you. Secondly, this movie is made in 1939. Or it's a black and white movie. I'm like, I didn't exactly leap into your life and ruin a thing that just came out. You know what I mean? And by the way, her response was to ruin No Way Out for me. The Kevin Costner movie, which was also about 20 years old, and she was like, well, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I saw that movie 20 years ago. Like, I got it. Like, you're not a cinemaphile. I understand, but I thought it was funny to get mad at me for ruining. That's like saying, Jesus died on the cross. Don't ruin the Bible! I'm in Genesis! God! Now I don't need to finish it. Anyway, thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Right there. Finally, we get some fun.
Jesus.
Hi. I was wondering what's still on your bucket list?
What is on my bucket list? My bucket list is not very exciting. I have a feeling, knowing you like I do, your bucket list is going to be way more exciting.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot I want to do before I die.
Yeah.
I want to go to Africa. Definitely want to go on safari.
I want to be bilingual. And I know that sounds dumb, but I really want to know a second language. I feel like this job has allowed me to travel to places like this. And over the last 20 years, when I go to Europe and other countries, and people come to me and they speak English perfectly. And I'm like, man, we as a country, Americans, really have dropped the ball in being sure that our children are bilingual, that we understand multiple languages and cultures. And so, my wife is bilingual. She speaks Spanish fluently. I do not, and so it sounds like, I mean, it's a big reach, but I do Duolingo with French and Italian every day, and kind of like just try to add little nuggets of information to my brain. I want to, if I'm not bilingual, I at least want to understand the language better. I want to understand languages better in general. That's a bucket list thing. That's kind of maybe that's more personal growth, but along those same lines, it is a dream of mine and my wife's to live in Europe. So for 6 months, for some chunk of time, probably after the kids move out, off to college. We have 3 boys. One of them is walking around with me this weekend. I want to live in Europe, where English is not the mother tongue, right? Where it's Italian, where it's Spanish, where it's French, where that's my daily, where that's where I'm soaking up and hearing and understanding that culture. So that's a bucket list thing for us.
Thank you.
Well, before you leave the microphone, do you have a bucket list item?
I guess the next thing on my list would be to visit Nepal.
Naples or Nepal?
Nepal, yeah. It's supposed to be one of the most friendly places to visit and also beautiful. So
Yeah.
that's on my list.
Yeah, it's like traveling is something I just really love doing. I love seeing other cultures, and I'm always shocked. The benefit of this work, I have gotten to travel. But I think if I hadn't been afforded this job, it wouldn't have occurred to me to pursue that. So I love the fact that I now have that wanderlust and want to do it, and can sort of at least, even if I haven't done everything I want to do, at least create the environment of traveling is good for my kids. So they, maybe they'll go further and deeper into it than I did. But that sounds awesome. Very cool. And you'll get there and you'll let us know how it is. You right there.
Hi.
Hi.
First of all, thank you so much for the karaoke yesterday, for choosing us. It was one of the best.
It was great, man. I mean, Jeff, they were great, man. This is a great crowd.
This was great.
And I don't know if it's a question, but maybe you want to share some funny stories from set. Like, usually I know that Jared and Justin love to prank fellow actors. So Jeffrey, if you have a funny story.
It's funny that I don't know, I get the prank question, or the prank question comes up a lot. I'm sure over 333 episodes they pranked people and Misha a lot. I never saw it though. In the acting and directing, I never saw them pranking people.
YouTube.
Pardon?
Go on YouTube. Everything is there.
Oh, yeah, YouTube, yeah, sure. But I say, it's funny to me because it's such a topic of conversation and something that I never saw. I hear it all the time. I hear people talk about it. But I never was part of it or privy
Yeah, I
to it.
personally didn't
But I'm trying to think of like stories from set. Stories from set. What would be a good story from set?
I have one.
Do it.
So it was kind of a personal milestone for me because I had about, I guess it was about 8 years before, maybe even 10. I wrote and directed, it was in my first short film ever. It was called Vincent and Lucian. And it was about this enigmatic character in like an 1800s fantasy realm meeting a young artist and telling him what he needed to do to become his highest creative self. And in this film, we rented 2 thrones to sit in front of this fire and that was basically the movie, is these 2 guys sitting in front of this fire. And the thrones were really elaborate. And again, like I said, it's all about becoming your highest creative self. And then you realize in the end, he was dreaming and he was talking to himself. So it was one person. Now I'm on the supernatural set, say 10 years later. And the first day I was there, I went into where I was going to do my scene, and nobody was there. It was just me, and I was kind of getting a feel for the space. And I remember thinking how much I loved the character already and what a great opportunity it was. And then I look and I see the throne, and it's the same throne from my short film, but now it's one. So.
That's cool, man. I didn't know that.
Crazy, yeah.
So that's the King of Hell room, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. So that was
that's awesome.
Story.
I just trying to think of a story from set. This is not that great a story, but it applies to Rob Benedict because he's here. Supernatural story. There was a scene. One of the first time I directed Rob in Supernatural, he was sitting in this casino as God playing, and all the people around him are dead. This waitress is bringing him a drink, and it's the teaser to the episode revealing that he's there. And so it's this long snaking Steadicam shot. We did it several times and got it right. And so the last time we were doing, and Rob gets his drink and he has this old mean line. And he takes a drink. And so the last take we had it, and we were doing it. I thought it'd be fun to put bourbon in his. I thought actual booze. Just to see how Robbie reacts, you know? And sure enough, he took a seat like, don't do that again. Which I'm like, great, cut, hi. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, yeah, probably unprofessional, probably not cool, but it's Rob, and it's Rich, and we have to do what we do. So there you go. I guess that counts as a prank.
Hey, you pranked him.
Yay, I did it. Finally, I'm one of the guys. Thank you very much. You're right there.
So, ho una domanda per voi. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Mi ricordo che qualcuno vuole imparare l'italiano. So I remember that someone wanted to practice Italian.
Me.
But you can do as well. It's for both.
Okay.
So, avete voglia di imparare una frase in italiano da me? So do you want to learn a sentence
Yes.
from me?
Yes.
In Italian?
Yes.
Si.
Go.
Wait, you have to tell.
My question. You ask a question to me, and
When-
I translate.
Into Italian. Okay.
And you learn the absolutely important question that you want, or
What
sentence.
question we want to know? Like, if we need
Oh,
to say something in Italian.
Is everybody having a good time?
Cool.
So, how do you say that?
In italiano è vi state divertendo? Vi state divertendo?
Vi state divertendo?
It's really hard. Like, it's hard because I don't speak Italian, so just trying to figure out what consonant she's saying is tricky.
Vi state divertendo?
That's not helping. So try to say it
Is that
again.
the whole
Sure.
sentence?
Hold on, say it again.
Sure. Vi
Vi
state divertendo?
divertendo.
Vi state divertendo?
Vi state
Vi state divertendo?
Vi state
Vi state
divertendo.
divertendo?
All right.
Vi state divertendo?
That's a good one. I have to write that down so I can actually, it's things in languages. Sometimes writing it down helps my brain understand what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Because just doing it by ear, I always will murder the actual pronunciation. Anyway, grazie mille.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Jeffrey, you were on fire tonight. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks. Paid for it today. Thanks, though.
So she actually has the same question I wanted to ask about pranks. So do you have any life advice you can pass on?
Life advice?
Yeah, I don't know, something helping you day-to-day basis.
The heart is meant to love and be broken.
Really nice one.
Thanks.
Never take blood from an eye. And now let's take one final question over here. Here we go.
Sorry, this might be a really rubbish question, but if there's if there's a gag reel of your life, can you think of one moment that would be in it?
Can you say what? One?
If there's a gag reel of your life, can you think of one moment that would be in it?
Oh, I think probably if my life is largely a gag reel. But I don't mean that as a negative. The life is a series of mishaps. There's no greater exercise in screwing up than trying to parent. I'm consistently doing it wrong, but that's part of the joy of it, is trying to figure it out. And so I'm trying to think of like what if there was a moment that would be one of the gag. Okay, I'll be one of the gag reels, and then I'll pass along to Jeff. But I remember when we had our first child, and my wife and I get home, and we have Steve. Steve's a baby, and we put Steve in between us. And my wife was exhausted from giving birth, and I'm exhausted from watching her give birth. And we looked at each other, and I looked at her and I said, that hospital has no business sending us home with this child. We have no idea what we're doing. I'm going to write them such a letter tomorrow. Oh, this is, because it's this human form moving around, and they're like, this is insane. We are so ill-equipped for this journey. How dare they? And it still makes me laugh to this day. Like, we joke about it all the time, because we had this moment of going, well, they have some nerve. They didn't ask us any questions. We didn't pass some exam. We're just flying blind here, and that is irresponsible, and I blame them. That would be on my gag reel.
I would say everything you said except for the kid part. And that's it.
Yeah, no, so it would definitely be Jeff in bed with my wife. Just no baby. Thank you, everybody.